Dr. Bedford is trying to get us back to competencies.
Oh, God.
And all I'm hearing is that we're trying to deal with competencies, it seems to me like, for these three groups of people we talked about this morning. The knowledge worker who may have never heard of KM before he or she got that job as a knowledge worker. The strategic knowledge specialist who is supposed to help with the, et cetera, so maybe professional, maybe not, however you define professional. And the knowledge strategist, the futurist, the planner, the person who's going to be dealing with entrepreneurial risk-taking and all that. Are we seriously going to try to come up with competencies for all three groups of people? Can we do that? Or can we generalize, please, Dr. Bedford? Can we generalize and take care of the generalists that we need, as well as, okay, you're on the job for X number of time, you may get a graduate degree in this or you may not. Two quick examples. One of which Carla really hit the nail on the head for me, because in our organization, we're slaves to LinkedIn. We belong to more KN LinkedIn groups, and my bloody picture shows up all the time because my team and I are always putting things up there. And that, Carla, is the kind of thing, kind of competency, kind of skill that we get results from. Somebody goes in and says, we're thinking about doing X, Y, Z. 12 people come in from that one list and say, this is what we do. Yesterday there was one with, was it, I don't remember who it was, 61 responses on how do I deal, what's wrong with silo thinking. 61 responses in like 2 days. Okay, that's one way of looking at what competencies are needed to do that, Carla. The other one, I'm going to shut up. The other one, some of you know that I worked abroad. I was in Africa for a little bit over a year working with some organizations. And we've not touched on this that I think, and this is really important. There is knowledge management being taught at the universities in the undergraduate level and in the graduate level relating to specific subject areas. You're getting a graduate degree or an undergraduate degree having to do with something with health services or health sciences or agricultural management, which is big in Kenya. You're getting a degree in that. A piece of your degree is subject-specific knowledge management. Now, I don't know what the competencies are for that, but I'm just saying, Dr. Bedford, if we're going to be trying to cover the waterfront here in the next 24 hours and come up with a list of competencies, we've got a big job, and I'm not real confident.
I got a suggestion.
I go for the generalists. Start as generalists and then turn them into whatever you want.
How about the Institute for Peace? This lady, she's going to have tunnel carpal syndrome.
I'm Ellen Edsel from USIP. And I think that a lot of this discussion has been, thought-provoking, and I'm really interested in how everybody lays out their knowledge management organization and all of that. But I think if we think about it, I'm not so sure why it should be so difficult, because if I were hiring a knowledge management person that I needed to oversee a knowledge management organization, you write down what you think this person's going to do, you write down the kind of stuff, the kind of qualities this person has, and then you think about the qualities that go for that level. When I was hiring a knowledge management, at the time assistant, now specialist, I wrote down what this person was going to do. I found someone who was really adaptable and really quick and to learn and had some of those skills, and she developed more skills, and she's great. But I mean, why is it so hard for us to think about things this way? I mean, we're thinking about who we want to work with, who we want to work in our organization. I think we can do that. In fact, I posted on the board that maybe we could have a working group where we follow Mike's example of getting job descriptions from across, across organizations, and we think about what each one of these folks, what these job descriptions do. But we hire people all the time, and we make a list of what they do and what we want them to do and how it has to work.
It has to do with scope and complexity, though. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because the scope and complexity of the organization you're trying to do knowledge management in is where it starts to become difficult. I mean, when we're looking at being across 3 business lines of tax and audit and advisory, and within just tax, there's multitudes of different domains of different types of knowledge. And as you come in knowledge management, there's different needs of different types of professionals, and you're looking at like 40,000 people. It becomes more complex than just
here's the thing.
roles
I
and
appreciate
skills.
that.
So speak to that a little bit.
I think when you write up a job description and you say, this is what's required, this is would be really good, this would be nice to have. I mean, you don't find somebody who can necessarily fit everything. You find someone who can grow into the position, someone you can train, or someone who is adaptable and comes up with ideas on their own. And you know, sometimes we get lucky. I mean, I have a good person to work with, and I won't embarrass her, she's here, but it's really. I mean, but I think those are the kinds of things we look for, and I don't see why that should be so difficult to lay them out in some strata, and think about how this is really what you want in a high-level person. This is what you want in someone who can kind of cut across what's going on in the organization. And yes, you have to look at your organization. So what do you need to do? You need to think about how your organization works. Think about what the organizational culture is, and work with your peers in figuring out the best strategies for that. Usually you don't. I mean, I happen to write this job description on my own because I was just doing it. But if it's something that's going to cut across the organization, you might go to some of your partners in the other departments and say, look, we need some people who can do this and this across the organization, because knowledge management is, as we have repeatedly said, interdisciplinary. You know, I mean, it really is. And you need to have, I think we can identify those skills that you need to be successful in it. So maybe, how much time do you have to finish? I mean, but I think we can do that. And maybe what we can do is propose some working groups or something that come out of this to pull that information in.
That's
Does
exactly
this make sense?
That's exactly what
Yeah.
we wanted to have as an outcome of the forum, was we wanted people to take these conversations forward. I don't think we expected there to be definitive results from 2 days. We wanted to get the conversation going, and we wanted to make sure that it was open and inclusive. And so if one of you, and this should function like, in my view, like a community of practice. So if there is a group, Ellen, if you want to form a working group to tackle question 2, please. We'll provide you with the space online anytime you need to, have an online meeting, etc. We'll support you.
The part of the difficulty with what you mentioned about why it's so difficult to put up a job description. We did a study on trying to understand what employers are looking for when they put up these job descriptions, and we did content analysis, and a lot of the jobs that we were searching for knowledge management as a phrase wherever mentioned in the job. Surprisingly, a lot of those jobs that posted, they were posted with different titles, with asking for system analyst or various job titles, and then somewhere in the job description said they'll be able to do knowledge management in some of those jobs. So
you have to have a clear idea about what.
So in a lot of those jobs, they really don't know. But they just, well, this is a nice term. Let's just throw it. And that's not only in companies, in academia. You go out, to some of the jobs advertised for faculty, and you'll find the term knowledge management thrown into the faculty position with no idea what the faculty is supposed to do.
And the federal government as well. Madeline, it looks like you're up.
Yeah. Mike? You can also take it from the other side. You can take it from the other side, which is the people who are actually in the positions that are called knowledge management or are associated with knowledge management groups. I mean, that's what the World Bank asked me to do, and I did it across IT, I did it across IM, I did it across KM, because they wanted to be able to distinguish the three. It was amazing when you got real, honest data in front of you, how quickly it dropped out. And the key was to ask only a few questions. Now I'm going to give you some golden questions. The first question is, what do you spend most of your time on? The second question is, what is it that you like to do most?
Facilitation. Facilitation.
It came back in many things.
Yes, yes, I'm just saying.
And I can tell you that with those very short surveys, we got like 90% response rate, and we had all the data we needed.
Just an important output for this. I think the reason that we ought to do this is for organizational credibility for people who come into these roles. You know, can you imagine a company that spends, you know, $100 billion a year in its enterprise, and you're now going to come in as a knowledge person and you're going to try to start guiding things, and you were a reliability engineer last week and now you're the director of knowledge management. I mean, I have a lot of respect for reliability engineers, but I think this is about credibility, and you want to talk about creating CKOs and directors of knowledge management and knowledge strategists. I mean, there needs to be some substance behind it, and I think that's where this competence and experience and really having this diverse set of skills and knowledge and an understanding of the business is so important. And that's why I think, you know, we really got to invest in this if you're going to have a career path that people like us will want to stay in and have a career, or people just go off to something else and you lose all those years they put in or whatever because there's nowhere to go. And frankly, I think a lot of initiatives fail because of a lack of credibility. And when you're asking people to spend a lot of money, to make a lot of change, to go through a lot of pain, you've got to have credibility. They need to know you can deliver the thing you're describing, the IT component of it, the IM component of it, the change management, the behavioral parts. And I think that comes through competence and through education, skill building, practice, time in the field, real competence that can be assessed fairly objectively, and then the business results are what you produce.